There are very few shows out there that I'd consider to be perfect, but Avatar the Last Airbender is something I would genuinely call a perfect show. It has a perfect cast, perfect characters, perfect world, and a perfect story. Everything about The Last Airbender is phenomenal and is a series that I firmly believe everyone should watch at least once in their lifetime. So the idea of a sequel series following Aang's successor was a no-brainer, and in 2012 the sequel series became a reality. The Legend of Korra saw the next Avatar in the cycle and ran for 4 seasons with a total of 52 episodes. The show had the original creators attached, a great cast, and a great concept, yet it is widely considered to be far lesser than its predecessor. But why is that? What exactly happened to The Legend of Korra? The original Avatar franchise, not the Blue Cat people, was co-created and produced by Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. Conceived in early 2001 after Konietzko took an old sketch of a balding middle-aged man and imagined him as a child. Bringing this concept to DiMartino, who had recently watched a documentary on the South Pole, the two created an idea where, quote, "There's an air guy along with these water people trapped in a snowy wasteland, and maybe some fire people are pressing down on them." After workshopping that idea a tad bit more, 2 weeks later Konietzko and DiMartino pitched their idea to Nickelodeon and successfully got a pilot greenlit. In discussing further inspiration for the series, Konietzko would state, "Mike and I were really interested in other epic legend and lore properties, like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, but we knew that we wanted to take a different approach to that type of genre. Our love for Japanese anime, Hong Kong action and kung fu cinema, yoga and Eastern philosophies led us to the initial inspiration for Avatar the Last Airbender." As the show began to take shape, it was decided that it would tackle rather controversial topics for a kids' show by discussing things like war, genocide, colonialism, sexism, marginalization, and oppression, while highlighting other rarely discussed topics like spirituality, philosophy, and female empowerment. They also had very layered and complex characters like Zuko struggling with his place in the world, Toph trying to find her identity, and Aang embracing his responsibilities. Because of this, Avatar the Last Airbender resonated with many generations and became a timeless classic. Premiering on February 21st, 2005, Avatar the Last Airbender saw incredible success. During its premiere, The Last Airbender was the highest-rated animated television series in its demographic, with an average of 1.1 million viewers for each new episode, and was even highly rated beyond its 6 to 11-year-old target demographic. Its popularity would continue to grow with each new season. The average number of viewers would increase substantially, with the highest rated episode reaching 5.6 million viewers and the 1-hour special during season 2 landing on the 5th highest rated cable television program for that year. Needless to say, Avatar the Last Airbender was big. Really, really big. So much so that the series has currently a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 9.4 on Metacritic, and has countless articles claiming the series to be one of the best animated shows ever made. The legacy left behind by The Last Airbender is massive, and believe it or not, Konietzko and DiMartino were content to leave the series with the conclusion of The Last Airbender. However, the studio had other plans. With the final season concluding Aang's journey in 2008, Konietzko and DiMartino were content with leaving the show there. Nickelodeon, however, asked them for more episodes. Instead of continuing The Last Airbender, Konietzko and DiMartino decided to create a new series about the next Avatar after Aang, a Southern Water Tribe girl named Korra. The idea of following a female avatar this time around came from the massive female audience the first series garnered, as well as the love for all the headstrong female characters by the fanbase. However, Nickelodeon was tentative about this decision because, according to Nickelodeon executives, girls will watch shows about boys, but boys won't watch shows about girls. Konietzko and DiMartino would eventually persuade the executives to change their minds and would later say that, during test screenings, boys didn't care that Korra was a girl. By 2010, production of the next Avatar series, titled The Legend of Korra, began. Despite the mass success and wide appeal of Avatar The Last Airbender, Nickelodeon only picked up the series for 1 season and used their in-house production team, which was considerably smaller than The Last Airbender's development team. Yet, despite its smaller size, the team consisted of multiple original series veterans. Originally titled Avatar The Legend of Korra, the show was revealed at the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con. This new Avatar Korra would reside in an all-new world and primarily live in Republic City, the capital of a new country founded by Aang and Zuko, known as the United Republic of Nations. This primary setting of Republic City was decided because DiMartino and Konietzko wanted to avoid repeating the around-the-world adventure seen in the original series. Season 1 of The Legend of Korra would be 12 episodes, with the creators stating that they left out any filler episodes to allow for a more concise story. Initial ideas for the show involved focusing on events related to politics, such as governmental meetings, press conferences, and courtroom trials, which again isn't something you'd typically see in children's programming. Republic City was described as if Manhattan had happened in Asia, and was inspired by 1920s American and European architecture. The early 1900s theme was carried throughout the show, and classic noir films mixed with steampunk concepts greatly influenced the world design as well. Because Republic City was set within a multicultural nation, this prompted the design team to develop new bending styles, which would be another big change from The Last Airbender. The original series saw each nation practicing different and distinct styles of martial arts. The slow, fluid movements of waterbending is based on Tai Chi, the powerful strikes and strong base of earthbending is based on Hung Gar, the fast and aggressive movements of firebending is based on Northern Shaolin, and the smooth, circular movements of airbending is that word. In this new world set 70 years after the conclusion of The Last Airbender, the fighting had to be modernized. Now, benders would use a mixture of Chinese martial arts, mixed martial arts, and tricking, which is a form of martial arts that combines kicks with flips and twists from gymnastics, as well as many dance moves. This new world for Avatar Korra to inhabit was beginning to sound fantastic. A world not stuck in time, but actually progresses. New forms of bending, steampunk, and retro noir elements with an emphasis on political intrigue. If you ask me, that's a recipe for success. On April 14, 2012, The Legend of Korra premiered with an average of 4.5 million viewers, ranking as Nickelodeon's most watched animated series premiere in over 3 years. The first season drew an average of 3.8 million viewers per episode and held the highest audience count for an animated series in the United States in 2012. Season 1 was received fairly positively, yet was criticized due to its quick pacing and shallow character arcs. However, these issues were present due to the fact that during initial production, Nickelodeon only greenlit Legend of Korra as a 12-episode miniseries, only changing their minds and ordering a second season midway through production. Because of this change, a story that was written as an open and shut, one-and-done story with no filler episodes now had the ability to expand further, yet was too far along in development to course correct and fix its pacing and character arc issues. Regardless, in 2012, Season 2's writing had been completed and the episodes were in the process of being storyboarded and animated, with DiMartino stating, "We have story ideas for past Book 2, so we will see if and when those stories come to light." However, Konietzko would state that it was not up to them to greenlight new seasons. Season 2 began airing in 2013 and, due to its reception, was able to convince Nickelodeon to greenlight more episodes. Yet, after the release of Season 3, things began to take a very strange turn. For whatever reason, the series faced lower than expected ratings, which prompted Nickelodeon to make a drastic and unprecedented move. Instead of keeping their schedule, Nickelodeon announced that the remaining episodes of Season 3, that being 9 through 13, would be available for streaming on their website and other digital platforms. So basically, in the middle of Season 3's release, Nickelodeon just decided to shelf the series because of low ratings, resulting in even lower ratings when, they could have just promoted the show more, which they weren't. Despite a low viewer count, Season 3 still rated fairly high, with an average of 8.6 on Metacritic. Yet this trend of releasing the series solely on Nickelodeon's website, while also not advertising the series in the first place, would continue with Season 4. Yet, that was just the beginning of the strange decisions by the studio. After Season 3's finale, and long after pre-production on Season 4 had begun, Nickelodeon decided to cut the season's budget substantially. In an open letter to the fans prior to the release of Season 4, Episode 8, which was nothing more than a clip show, Konietzko would state, "A few minutes into the episode, you will feel duped and yell at your screen, 'Hey, this is a crummy clips episode.' Sometime around a year and a half ago, we were similarly duped on a large scale. We got the news from the higher-ups that our Book 4 budget was getting slashed, almost to the tune of an entire episode's budget." After being blindsided by Nickelodeon again, the creators were almost forced to let go of a significant number of crew members. However, in making the clip episode and recycling old footage, they were able to save them and finish the series fully staffed. Releasing online on October 3rd, 2014, the fourth and final season of The Legend of Korra began. Despite a lower budget and lower quality visuals, the series finale did quite well, with many complimenting the villain and the handling of themes such as the rise of dictatorships and the battling with post-traumatic stress disorder. The series also concluded with Korra being confirmed as bisexual, as the final shot of the series would show Korra and Asami standing hand in hand, a moment that would later be confirmed by the creators, signifying the two becoming romantically involved. This was massive at the time, as it was among the first time in history a children's show depicted a same-sex couple. Despite The Legend of Korra experiencing highs and lows and strange amounts of self-sabotage from Nickelodeon, the show managed to end on a relatively positive note. Yet at the time of its release, many fans still criticized the show, complaining about its lack of consistency, bad character arcs, or nitpicking small details just to nitpick. But again, that was all because Nickelodeon kept changing their minds. Studio intervention is the bane of all creatives. You can't have a complete vision when someone who solely looks at numbers keeps dictating what is or isn't going to happen. A complete and engaging story can't be told through statistics. In the years to follow, The Legend of Korra became a strange entry into the Avatar series. Some hated it, some loved it, and a lot of people didn't even watch it or even finish it or, hell, even know it existed. However, looking back on it and trying to figure out why it didn't do as well as the prior series, it kind of makes sense. The Last Airbender is the perfect show. It is a solid 10 out of 10. The legacy it left behind is so inconceivably large that nothing could live up to it. While I personally liked The Legend of Korra, looking back on its production history, it sheds some light on its inconsistencies. Nickelodeon basically gave them one season at a time to tell a complete story. They didn't get to plan out a multi-season arc with longer, more thought-out character and story arcs. The only thing they knew when starting a new season was that they had to wrap it up at the end. However, it seemed like during the middle of developing each new season, they got renewed for a new one, but couldn't course correct the current one to tell a longer overarching story. This was the main issue that so many highlighted about The Legend of Korra. Characters were just not memorable, stories just felt so shallow, and the whole series felt so inconsistent. However, even if Nickelodeon treated the Avatar series with the respect it deserved and didn't radically change their minds on every decision, sabotaging the creative process, I still feel as if The Legend of Korra would be remembered the same as it is now. How can you live up to The Last Airbender? It's impossible. Even if they had zero studio intervention and could tell a complete, consistent story, I still feel like fans would trash this show. And does it deserve it? No. The Legend of Korra, for all its shortcomings, did the best with what they had. And what they ended up pulling off, despite the circumstances, is nothing short of a miracle.